Hi guys, Miss Stevens here, and I'm here today to show you how to properly oil the valves on your trumpet. Okay, first, we're going to loosen the valve. We're going to start with the first one. You're not going to loosen the valve cap. You're going to loosen the top of the valve. And we're not going to pull the valve all the way out, just to where we can really see kind of that first top hole. You're going to take your valve oil. You're not going to put the drops in the hole, but put it down the side of the casing. And just a couple of drops will do it, no more than 2. Okay, drop the valve back in. Going to go on to number 2. Again, you don't need to pull the valve all the way out. Drop a couple of drops down the side. Drop it back in place. Loosen number 3. Take the valve oil and drop a couple drops down the side of the valve and put it back in. Now here's the important part. All those little holes that you see open up all of the tubing that make the different pitches on our instrument. So in order to get those back in alignment, you have to turn the valve until you hear the click, and that's when it drops back into place. Otherwise your trumpet will not make any sounds. Okay? And then you just simply retighten the caps. And would be ready to go. You won't need to oil your trumpet every single time you play. For our purposes as 5th and 6th graders, for the amount of time that we are typically playing right now, once a week should be sufficient, unless you find that your valves are sticking. Okay, if you have an older trumpet, which is the case of the instrument I'm showing you here, you have to do something extra before dropping them into place. You would oil them just the way I showed you a moment ago, but you have different kind of aligners in your instrument. So what you will need to do is, on the valves, look for the number. You'll see that one says number 1. It's the first valve. So you're going to align that number up with your second valve slide, or with the inner part of your trumpet here. Always kind of reference the second valve tuning slide. Drop the valve back in once you find that number. You're going to find number 2 here for the second valve. Drop that back in. And then find number 3 and then drop that in. Now in order from 1st to 3rd, you're going to turn it clockwise. Again, you'll hear the click as it locks back into place. And then tighten your caps. And then your trumpet is ready to go. Should you ever experience problems playing your instrument, or getting sounds out of your instrument, check the valves. Check and make sure that if you have taken them all the way out, first of all, that you've gotten the number 1 valve back in the number 1 casing, and so on. But that if you do have an older trumpet, to go through the step that I just showed you, or also to make sure that your valve is locked back into place and should make sound. Okay. If you oil your valve and you're still having problems with it sticking, simply remove the valve and take a soft lint-free cloth. This happens to be a piece that I have cut off of an old t-shirt. Wipe the valve down. Sometimes the oil will loosen up some debris in your valve casing, so just wipe the valve down and put it back in after placing a couple of drops of oil on the outside of the valve, and then see if that takes care of your sticking problem. If it continues to stick, you may have some damage to one of the valve casings on your instrument. These are very fragile, And I know that, you know, as we're getting set up to practice and getting our stands out and music books ready to go, it's really easy to bump the casings and get tiny, tiny dents that will also cause valves to stick. If that's the case, we will need to send it to a repairman to have it addressed and have that problem fixed. But just be really careful with the valves so we don't have that problem happen. So anyway, that's how you oil and properly take care of your valves. Be nice to your friends, and I'll see you in class.